Man United. Start with team news, because obviously Gabriel went off injured, Calafiori went off injured against West Ham. Marino and Partey didn't make the team. Any latest on them? Are we expecting them to be fit for United or maybe this weekend?
I think in terms of Thomas Partey, my understanding that there is a chance, there is a hope that he's going to be fit. I mean, he went with the squad to West Ham. He was at the stadium. So it must have been a very, very late call. My understanding on that, it's not a bad one. As soon as Thomas Partey gets injured as an Arsenal fan, you're just like, oh, here we go, 5-6 weeks out with a muscle injury, because it's just what we've become accustomed to. And he's not had that this season, and it's been a real positive. And so as soon as we saw it announced before the West Ham game, it's like, but it doesn't sound like it's bad, and they're certainly hoping that he's going to get some training in this week. Whether that comes a little bit too soon for Wednesday night, we'll see. But hopefully, even if it does, it means he'll be okay for the weekend. So it doesn't feel like that's going to be a long one. I think Gabriel will be fine. He played the first half with the issue that he had ahead of the game against West Ham. I think Mikel just looked at it 5-2 up at half time. Big games coming up. Just get Kivior on, give Kivior 45 minutes and take Gabriel out the firing line. I saw him running over to the Arsenal fans at full time, celebrating. They're all singing his song, and he stayed out there last out of everyone. So he looked fine in that regard. So I'd be very surprised. Calafiori obviously has been kind of felt like he's been struggling with an issue since he's arrived at Arsenal. He's had quite a few of them. Whether that's just adjusting to the demands of the Premier League, we'll wait and see. But it didn't look too serious. So I don't think there's anything majorly wrong with the Arsenal squad. I think there'll be late calls made on pretty much all of them, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see pretty much everyone fit and available for United on Wednesday.
Which is probably good, because it seems like a tricky time to face United. They've hit a bit of form, obviously not great against Ipswich in Amorim's first game, but since then back-to-back wins. As you say, big win over Everton, but Everton were, as you say, a shambles in that game. So I don't know how much we can read too much into that, because Everton was so bad rather than United being so good. But Amorim's come in. There's that new manager bounce potentially. It just feels like a bit of a trickier time to face United, certainly, than it would have been under Ten Hag a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I'd have certainly preferred to see Ten Hag in the dugout on Wednesday night. Always made you feel confident you'd get a win over United when Ten Hag was in charge. The Everton game was strange, because Everton were actually good. It would look like the better team before the first goal went in at Old Trafford. They had some chances, didn't take them, and then they just crumbled. And defensively, it was the most un-Sean Dyche-like defensive performance you've seen. I mean, they were just gifting Manchester United goals. But you know what you're going to get from United, I think, even with this change of manager. They'll look to play on the counter-attack. I mean, Ahmed seems like he's playing very, very well at the moment. Rashford obviously got himself a couple of goals at the weekend as well. I kind of look at where Arsenal's potential weaknesses are. You look down that left-hand side again. Calafiori, excuse me, Calafiori's got the attributes to be a hell of a defender. I'm really excited by what he's going to turn into, but he can get caught out. 2 or 3 times a game, you see someone getting behind Calafiori, and I imagine United might well target that with Ahmad down that side and potentially Rashford sort of moving over to that side as well. Looking at how they played against Everton. So they are dangerous on the counter-attack, United. Marcus Rashford's got a very good record scoring at the Emirates as well, counter-attacking goals. So Arsenal are going to have to watch out for that. But if Arsenal play the way they've been playing in the last couple of games, they should be too strong for United at home. There is a different United side, but it's still one that's getting to sort of understand what the manager wants. And I would expect Arsenal to win this game, providing they meet the sort of standards that they've shown in the last week or so.
Does it still have the sort of big fixture feel for you, this one? Because probably because the era I grew up in, this was the defining feature, the fixture of the Premier League. Obviously, that's not been the case in terms of it deciding titles for quite a long time now. But is it still one of the fixtures when the fixture list comes out, you circle it and looking forward to that one? Yeah,
it does. It's nothing like you said. I mean, that was my favourite era growing up watching football. Was that time. It was unbelievable for everyone who sort of experienced it, whether you're an Arsenal or you're a United fan or anyone else. Watching those games was always such a highlight of the season. There was so much fire in those games, the hostility, the dislike really between the two teams. It was brilliant. And it's always fun to sort of dip into that nostalgia whenever Arsenal Man United rolls around, but it is a very different game now, and it doesn't quite have that rivalry that it used to, but it's still two of England's most successful ever clubs meeting, and it's always a hell of an atmosphere at these games. So no, I'm really looking forward to it, and we're going to get used to it because we've got them in the FA Cup as well in the third round. So it's a nice draw. Arsenal's last 3 draws in the FA Cup have been Man City, Liverpool, and Man United. Not getting too much luck in that, and that's going to be stuck just before the Tottenham North London derby as well. I can just imagine Mikel Arteta's head dropping when he was watching that draw, not because it was United, but just because you would have been hoping that weekend would just rotate, use the squad. But now it's like sandwiched in between Brighton away and the North London derby. You've got Man United at home, so it's not ideal for Arsenal. But we'll think about that when we get to that point. But on Wednesday night, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really good game. It's a big game. It's got an edge to it, and it's just a massively important one for Arsenal as well.